That's what Article 3 is all about. All about. Marbury versus Madison says it's emphatically the province and the duty of the judicial department to say what the law is. That's what judicial review is. But that's a short-term solution, my friends. The real backstop to this authoritarianism is, it has always been, and it always will be, the people. Even with all their gerrymandering and all their voter suppression, even with all their billions in dark money, the people will organize to defeat them and take back the Congress next year. We'll be heard in the town halls, in the union halls, in the church halls, in the state capitals and in the capital city, online and inline, at the post office, which we're going to save, at social events, and at the Social Security offices that they're trying to close down. And if anybody was slow to wake up to this authoritarian takeover, nobody's sleeping now, and nothing is going to stop the forces of democracy and freedom in America. No oligarch, no proligarch, no autocrat, no theocrat, no kleptocrat, no monarch from Moscow or Mar-a-Lago is going to turn us around. Fascism will not be the end of human history. Human history will be the end of fascism. The deranged cult of MAGA will not destroy the economy built by free labor, free ideas, and free markets. The Economist magazine called 6 months ago the envy of the world. The envy of the world. My friends, we are not only the liberals who believe in liberty. We are not only the progressives who believe in progress. We are the conservatives who will defend the land, the air, the water, the climate system, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the National Labor Relations Act, the Fair Labor Standards Act, the Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act, everything that their party of nihilists and authoritarians wants to tear down in the next few weeks, we are going to conserve and defend for future generations of Americans. We invite all Americans to join us, to join the party of democracy and freedom and solidarity. An injury to one is an injury to all. A victory for any one of us is a victory for all. And I leave you with the words of two great democracy patriots. Hold them close to your heart. One, the great Frederick Douglass, born a half an hour away at the Wye River Plantation into slavery. He escaped from slavery to become our great freedom fighter during the Civil War and Reconstruction. And Douglass said, if there's no struggle, there's no progress. And the struggle may be physical, it may be moral and physical, but there must be struggle. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has, and it never will. A message to you from Frederick Douglass and the people of Maryland. And my friends, I leave you finally with the words of the great Tom Paine, who my son Tommy was named after. And Tom Paine got here in 1774, 2 years before the Revolution. He fell in love with the promise of our land. He said, if these people live up to their promise and their ideals, the land will become an asylum to humanity, he said. Not an insane asylum, mind you. A place of refuge for people seeking freedom from political and religious discrimination from all over the world. And he wrote the pamphlet that ignited our revolution, Common Sense, by which he meant the sense we all have in common when we're willing to reason together without myth and dogma and what we would call propaganda and disinformation. But you know, 1776 was a tough year, and the country was split. There were some people running around saying, you can't beat the kings and the queens. You can't beat the autocrats and the monarchs. You can't separate church and state. For all of history, people have lived under thugs and dictators and kleptocrats like Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. But half of the people said, no, let's try something different. Let's pledge to ourselves our sacred honor, our fortunes, our lives to build something different. And so Paine wanted to write a pamphlet to give people hope during the darkest hours. And he wrote this beautiful pamphlet called The American Crisis. I just want to quote a little passage to you. I'm going to update the language so it doesn't offend modern sensibilities. And Nancy Pelosi told me I had to do that. And she said it wouldn't offend Tom Paine because he was a feminist. And that he was. He was fighting for women's voting rights in the 18th century. But Paine said, these are the times that try men and women's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will shrink at this moment from the service of their cause and their country. But everyone that stands with us now will win the love and the favor and affection of every man and every woman for all time. Tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered, but we have this saving consolation. The more difficult the struggle, the more glorious in the end will be our victory. Let's make that victory ours. Thank you, Indivisible. Thank you, America.
Please welcome Congressman Maxwell Frost.
Hello, how's everybody doing? This is about the fight for everything and everyone. When I say everything, say everyone. Everything. 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 It is so damn good to see this crowd. Yo, we all know that we're living in some dark times. We see the foundations of our society, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, the very safety nets that people have fought for generations to ensure that our country lives up to its promise, are being targeted by the billionaires and the oligarchs and the corporations. This insidious rise of authoritarianism is fueled by corrupt billionaires and mega corporations who believe that they have the right to control every aspect of our lives. Our health care, to our schools, to our thoughts, to our very speech. Under the false banner of patriotism and freedom and a false banner of patriotism. They would have us believe that if we gave them all the control, everything would be great. But breaking news, they've had the control and look at where we're at right now. Massive wealth inequality in this country, where most of our people live paycheck to paycheck. And it isn't a new problem for generations. The billionaires and oligarchs have kept all this wealth and left us with the crumbs. But we say no more. In this moment, we all have a choice to make. As elected officials, we can't live in the world of what we can't do, but we have to live in the world of what we can and must do. I'll tell you, I had some friends come up to me and say, Maxwell, you should think about running for Congress. 4 years ago, I said, hell no, you're crazy. The crazy thing is, I didn't have all the power at the time. I didn't have all the money. I experienced homelessness during my campaign. And as many of you know, even after I was elected, I couldn't find a place to live in D.C. because the housing costs were too high. But the crazier thing is, we won. We didn't have all the power. When we woke up and saw, it was Twitter at this time, when we woke up and saw on Twitter that a black man, George Floyd, had been lynched in broad daylight. We didn't have all the power, but we still took to the streets to say that Black Lives Matter. They didn't have all the power. When a gunman walked into Marjorie Stoneman Douglas in Parkland, Florida, and murdered 17 students, children, and teachers. But the students rose up. demanded that we end gun violence, and the world didn't just watch, the world marched to end gun violence. I say this because a lot of times when you don't have all the power that you want, you use all the power that you got. And that's what we have to do in this moment. We need to use everything in our toolbox. We can't afford to brush aside any part of our movement. We need mutual aid. We need protest. We need direct action. We need a legislative strategy. We need to be in the courts litigating, because I promise you, our opposition are not leaving any tools in their toolbox. They're using everything they have. And it's insane because there is such international solidarity in the right-wing fascist movement. January 6th here, January 8th in Brazil, funded by a lot of the same people and organized by a lot of the same people. But here's the thing. Their movement is run by fear, trying to push us against one another. They would have our people believe that the reasons we can't afford rent, the reason we can't afford health care, the reason we can't afford groceries is because of other people in our own communities. Yes, we know that this system is rigged and the status quo doesn't work for Americans, but it's not rigged against the billionaires. It's rigged for the billionaires and for the corporations. They are the ones hoarding so much wealth, we can't even imagine what it is. They're the ones cutting essential programs that help working families while giving themselves massive tax breaks that benefits nobody but themselves. They tell us that immigrants are stealing our jobs, but they're the ones shipping jobs overseas and hiring corporate lawyers to go and union bust. They're the ones that are screwing us over on the jobs. They tell us that trans people are a threat to our children, but they're the ones dismantling public education. They're the ones denying the climate crisis. They're the ones poisoning our planet. They're the ones doing nothing about the national public health emergency of gun violence.
You know, it's the conversation like this that makes you kind of wonder if this is one of the reasons why they're trying to end the funding for PBS, Public Broadcasting Service. I mean, I thought it's freedom of speech. I thought everyone has a chance to say what they want to say. I mean, just because people have a different view on things, I don't think they should have this funding slashed. And, you know, sometimes it makes you stronger to have someone that doesn't see the same views that you see. That way you kind of get input from all different angles. So I think it's kind of messed up that they keep talking about slashing their funding and stuff. You know, everyone doesn't feel the same way. You still got to give people that feel a different way another way or outlet. So I think it's kind of messed up.
And they want us to believe that they're the patriots of free speech. But they're the ones kidnapping and disappearing college students across this country that are just fighting for peace to ensure that innocent people don't die. The message is simple, and I've been traveling the country. I went to Michigan with my good friend Senator Chris Murphy to a Republican district. And the message is simple. We're in this situation not because of our neighbors. I promise you, your bank account looks a lot more like your trans neighbors or your immigrant neighbors and nothing like Elon Musk's. In fact, we're all closer to being on the streets than having a bank account that looks like his. How do you think he got to where he's at? I have people who come up to him and say, Maxwell, why would they be stealing? Elon Musk is already the richest person in the world. He has enough money. The question is, how do you think he became the richest person in the world? And, you know, Elon doesn't like me. If you told me 5 years ago that the richest man on earth would be tweeting about me, I mean, it goes to show, Elon's a great example that money can't buy you happiness, and money can't buy you a Wisconsin Supreme Court seat either. But I'll tell you, our way out of this is not to back down, is not to be silent, is not to be divided. Throughout human history, authoritarians, they're never satisfied with the power that they have. And so they test the bounds, they push the limits, they break the law, and then they look at the public to see if they're quiet or if they're loud. If we are quiet, if elected officials are quiet, then we are complicit. And we cannot be complicit in the tearing apart of Medicaid, of Social Security, of food stamps, of nutritional assistance, of the things that we fought for and earned. This is why Democrats in the House and across the country, we can't be and we are not the minority party. We must be the opposition in this moment. And then in less than 2 years, we will become the majority. And I'll tell you this, Elon Musk was on the news the other day saying, well, if the Democrats win, it's just going to be subpoenas and investigations. It's the one thing he's right about. You're damn right there's going to be subpoenas. You're damn right there's going to be investigations. Because when you steal from the people, expect the people to rise up at the ballot box and on the streets. Look, I'll end with this. I'm not going to be the one to sit here and say everything is going to be okay. Because to be honest, there's going to be a lot of people, and there's already a lot of people who are not okay, who are suffering from this authoritarian right-wing regime that is trying to have a billionaire takeover of our government. But the good thing is we are not alone. Not just in this moment and in this crowd, but I mean we're not alone in the grand mosaic of humanity and timeline of justice. We stand alongside the water protectors, the freedom fighters, the anti-war warriors, the labor organizers, and movements of working people throughout human history that have seen the world through the eyes of the most vulnerable and said, we are all together. We are not divided and we are not apart. And it's not going to be easy. And I know this coming from a movement. You know, I got involved in politics when I was 15 years old because I didn't want to get shot in school. I was a part of movement for 10 years and still part of the gun violence prevention movement. That the time when the most people give a damn about our issue is coupled when there's the most death and chaos. A movement when the country is paying attention to us. This is what's going on right now. I always tell people, the testament of an organizer is what you do when nobody's paying attention. But the testament of a movement is what you do when the world is watching. And the world is watching our country right now. There will be times when we feel discouraged. There will be times where we feel disappointed. But when those feelings overcome you, think about this moment. Think about our people. Think about our stories. And think about the people who came before us. And in my mind, I always think about the amazing Angela Davis when she said, I am no longer accepting what I cannot change. I am changing what I cannot accept. So to the people, can you accept cuts to Social Security? Can you accept cuts to Medicare and Medicaid? Can we accept the rise of right-wing authoritarians in this country? Can we accept them banning the books in our libraries? Can we accept them trying to ethnically cleanse our people from a land? Can we accept kids being mowed down in their schools? Well, it sounds like we have a lot of damn work to do. God bless you all. Let's continue to fight, and we will win. Thank you.
Please welcome Move On Executive Director, Rana Epting.
DC. I'm Rana, and I'm with Move On. Who's a Move On member? Raise your hand. That's right, because at Move On, we believe in the power of the people. We believe in the power of collective action, and that's what today is all about. Look, we know Trump and Musk and the Republicans have been launching an all-out flood-the-zone strategy to overwhelm us with attacks on Social Security, Medicaid, on other critical services and benefits that we've earned, on attacks on our rights and our freedoms. They want us to feel helpless. They want us to be hopeless. They want us to feel alone in our concerns.
You can tell by the protests and the marches that you're not alone. I know people may still feel that way because, there's a tremendous amount of stuff about Trump and a tremendous amount of anti-Trump that you don't see as much. But there's definitely people. You're not alone. Just got to find each other. Looking at all the people in these protests, there's definitely people that feel the same way you do.
Are we alone? Are we helpless? Hell no. Are we hopeless? No, because when we come together, we are powerful, and thank you for being here today. Look, Trump and Musk, they're doing everything to consolidate their power. You know that. They're firing tens of thousands of federal employees. They're threatening to get rid of more. They're trying to eliminate the Department of Education, leaving students, parents, and teachers out in the cold in favor of making their billionaire backers richer and richer. And now they're attempting to silence our neighbors in the workforce all across the country by taking away their voice on the job. Are we going to stand for that? But as we know, the working people united will never be divided, will never be defeated. And you're about to hear from some incredible leaders of unions here today. We'll be joined alongside with working people who've been directly affected at the hands of Trump and Musk. They're not just fighting for their members, they are fighting for all of us, folks. So please give a big, hearty welcome to the stage, AFL-CIO President Liz Shuler, NEA President Becky Pringle, National Nurses United President Kathy Kennedy, NFFE President Randy Irwin, and AFGE President Everett Kelly, along with their members.
Yeah! Wow, what a beautiful sight. Thank you so much. I'm Liz Shuler, President of the AFL-CIO, America's Unions. And I'm so honored to be here with all of you and with all of our labor activists and leaders here to bring the voice of not just our 63 unions and nearly 15 million workers, but of every working person in this country. So listen, this administration wants us, they want us to think that these cuts are about a bunch of bureaucrats, that these cuts don't matter to workers and families across the country. Well, I'm up here today next to workers who are the human face of what is going on. The people who make our lives better, who serve our communities, and whose lives have been turned upside down by this administration. People like Shanice Mundell, who's standing right here next to me, an Air Force veteran, someone who served this country and then went to work for the federal government, the Office of Personnel Management, a proud AFGE union member. She made sure people got their health care until this administration fired her. Does that make sense to anyone here? Listen, ever since this election, I keep hearing about how divided working people are. But the people I talk to every day, teachers, nurses, construction workers, engineers, sanitation workers, people with every kind of job and every kind of background, what I hear is the exact opposite. We could not be more united in what matters to us. And I see it. I see it. I have not met one person. I've not met one person who says, yes, it makes sense for a CEO to make 268 times what I make while I live paycheck to paycheck. I have not met one person who says, yes, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos need more tax breaks, and that money should come from my mom's Medicare or Social Security. I have not met one person who says, yes, please, let an unelected billionaire take a chainsaw to the jobs that my community counts on. The jobs that keep my food safe, that make my water clean. Get rid of the workers who care for our veterans, our heroes, when they come back from serving our country. It makes no sense. So to every working person here and everyone watching, I don't care if you're a Democrat, a Republican, an independent, do you want common sense from your government? Are you sick and tired of a government that is not of, by, and for the people, but of, by, and for the billionaires? Are you ready to do something about it? That's what I thought. They have billions of dollars. But what we saw on Tuesday night in Wisconsin gives me hope. Because our votes are not for sale. Our values are not for sale. And our rights and our freedoms are not for sale. So are you ready to fight? You ready to win? I'd love to have Shanice say a few words about her experience, and then I'll introduce our next speaker.
All right.
Thanks, everyone, for coming out. I just want to thank you all and let you know that I'm happy that you're in the fight with us. I may not get my job back, but I'm going to fight for the employees that are still there because they deserve it as well. And I'm going to make sure that everyone knows what's going on because when we fight, we win.
And now it's my joy to introduce an absolute fighter for our nation's kids, someone who protects not only our educators, our students, but all working people in this country, the president of the National Education Association, Becky Pringle.
The view from up here is magnificent. Of all the civil rights for which this world has fought and died for 5,000 years, the right to learn is the most fundamental. The freedom to learn has been bought by bitter sacrifice. So whatever you might think about the curtailment of other civil rights, you must fight to the last ditch to keep open the right to learn. Those words spoken by W.E.B. Du Bois over a century ago are still true today. I am Becky Pringle, and I am most proud of having taught eighth graders the wonders of science for 31 years. And I I'm honored to be the president of this nation's largest labor union, the National Education Association. I am joined here on stage by teachers and education support staff. And we are joined by the 3 million people who have dedicated their lives to teaching and nurturing, counseling and feeding, driving and taking care of this nation's 50 million students. And we're all here to say, hands off our public schools. The NEA has called out Donald Trump and Elon Musk and WWE czar. You can't make this stuff up. Linda McMahon's brazen attempts to undermine public education in America. Their devastating, dangerous, and disrespectful mass firing of half of our public servants in the Department of Education. We all know that will hurt all students in all rural and all urban and all suburban schools across this country. We know that class sizes will soar and arts and music and after-school programs will be diminished. Job training programs will disappear. Higher education will be further out of reach for most Americans. And our most vulnerable children, our children with disabilities, will be left adrift without desperately needed special education services. And the civil rights of our students will be eroded. Yeah, what is? That's why the NEA and our partners sue them. Hands off Donald Trump. Hands off Elon Musk. Hands off Linda McMahon. I just left Kentucky where we were celebrating their success. 120 counties, every one of them voted no to vouchers. They said loudly and clearly, we love our public schools. Hands off our schools.
Hands off the schools, hands off education. Hands off the schools, hands off education. These kids need this education, man. These kids are really not doing too well right now. We need every little bit of teaching and learning that they can get.
Will take all of the funds out of our schools and give them to private schools. And who will be left to stand in those gaps for our babies? Educators all over this country who bear that burden every day. And those federal workers in the Department of Education, where we saw them being fired, we heard from them. Anthony, a veteran who told us, I put my life on the line. I was willing to die for this country, all to be thrown out like trash by this administration. Donald Trump and Elon Musk are trying to roll back 6 decades decades of civil rights progress. They're peddling their private school voucher schemes to put money in the pockets of already obscenely rich billionaires and take away money from the 90% of the students who learn in our public schools. And we know it's a scheme. We've already seen when states go to vouchers, academics decline, state budgets are slashed, and public education, poor schools lose vital funding. Now you might say, Becky, why are they doing this? Yeah, I thought you had to. Well, you know, it fits right into any authoritarian's plan to strip away the freedom to teach and the freedom to learn. Because oligarchs know that to maintain a democracy, you have to have an educated society. Now, the Trump-Musk administration can't have that. They don't want people who are critical thinkers asking hard questions, people reading. They don't want that. That's right. Discerning the truth. They want us divided and swimming in chaos and confusion so we won't come together and expose their plan for what it is. That we won't focus on creating that beautiful vision of every public school having the resources to create a safe and welcoming and inclusive and joyful learning environment where every student, everyone can live into their brilliance. Yeah. I am deliberate and afraid of nothing. Let those powerful words of Audre Lorde fuel our courage and resolve. Deliberate and unafraid, we will demand that every student has what they need and what they deserve. Deliberate and unafraid, we will fight for every educator to be respected and compensated for what they do for this country. Deliberate and unafraid, we will continue the fight for education justice and economic justice and social justice until this country lives into the promise and the poetry of our Constitution. We the people, say it with me, we the people, we the people, we the people, all of us deserve that right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of justice. So we will continue to demand that you keep your hands off our schools, keep your hands off our rights, and we won't stop. We the people won't stop because our children, our babies are depending on us. They're depending on us to be worthy of them. And now, from the National Nurses United, give it up for Kathy Kennedy. Thank you so much. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Kathy Kennedy, and I'm a registered nurse and president of National Nurses United. And, you know, union nurses have long fought for Medicare for all because we know that health care is a human right. And we know that health is not just about medical treatment, it's also about the world that we live in and the support systems we all rely on. Those include Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, the Department of Health and Human Services, and the Veterans Affairs Administration. Yes, this current administration wants to weaken and privatize those programs that have helped millions of people stay alive, housed, and cared for. And without these programs, vulnerable seniors, low-income families, people with disabilities, and veterans will suffer. Yes. And while they're attacking the social programs, they're also stripping away protected union rights from federal workers, including our VA nurses, 15,000 of them. No. Yes. They're trying to break our solidarity so that we can't hold them accountable. But guess what? We're not going to let that happen. The current administration wants a society where wealthful and powerful get richer while the rest of us struggle. They say that people should be responsible for themselves while they're handing out billions of tax breaks, subsidies, and bailouts to giant corporations. What do you say? No way. No way. So let's be very clear. Our nation's public programs were created for a reason. During times of struggle like the Great Depression, the World Wars in Vietnam, when seniors were dying in poverty, veterans were left without care, and millions of Americans lacked the basic services to live. Do we want that? No. Absolutely not. This administration knows, they know very well that these are very popular programs for voters, so they can't get rid of them overnight. So what do? They sneak in the night and they have a plan to turn these public programs into money-making systems for private corporations. Yeah. How do they justify doing this? First, they have to break the system, right? Slash funding, fire staff, change policy until the program no longer functions properly. And then private corporations swoop in, offering to fix it for a profit. Are we going to let that happen? No. Are we here to tell them hands off? No. We must stand up for a society that values people over profit, right? No. Our seniors, our communities, our patients, our veterans, we all depend on this. So hands off our public services. Yeah. Yeah. Hands off our union rights. Hands off. All right, so I am so happy and so thrilled to see all of you today. And now I would like to turn it over to another president of the National Federation of Federal Employees, President Randy Irwin.
Boy, they had everybody coming out. Boy, they was ready for this day. They were ready for this day. I don't even see, where's the marching at? For the marching.
Impoverished Americans. And what they don't want to tell you is that the system only works if they maintain control over the workforce. We are being systemically isolated from the rest of the world. Our media is being censored. Our borders are being closed. Access to help and resources are being withdrawn. Air travel has been made unsafe. And make no mistake, the president knew that tariffs would cripple the economy. That is exactly why he passed them. By spiraling our nation into severe economic collapse, Trump is ensuring that low and medium income Americans will never be out from under the boot of the wealthy elite in this country. We are in a crisis in which economic instability, climate change, and authoritarian overreach are feeding into each other to create a system in which the average American cannot possibly thrive. If billionaires, not to name names, raking in millions per day wanted to actually solve these issues, they would. But they choose to instead hinder progress to ensure that they continue to stay at the top. This is why they are canceling research on climate change. This is why they are dismantling education systems. And this is why they are privatizing Social Security. What's worse is they don't want to be held accountable. And that's why they are placing blame on our most vulnerable Americans, immigrants and trans folks. The average American will never be affected by the existence of a trans athlete. Yet that is what they want our attention to be on. You know what we are affected by? Hunger. Rates of death by starvation in the United States has more than doubled since 2018. It is time to wake up, America. It is time to remind the grotesquely wealthy that we are more than just cheap labor. We are human beings. We are the backbone of this country. We, the people, are the future of the American dream, and we, the people, are taking it back. Again, I'm Zaide Smith, Deputy Director of Voices of Florida. Thank you so much for being here today. And I am very, very excited to introduce my Executive Director and friend, Sarah Parker.
I want you guys to do a little chant. There are organizers that have never organized in their life right now in the streets. When I say 50-50, I want you to say one. 50-50. 50-50. 50-50. My name is Sarah Parker. I am the Executive Director of Voices of Florida and a 50-51 national organizer. But most importantly, I'm a mother. Let me be clear. 50-51 is not just a movement. It is a declaration of independence. We have no leaders, and we are beholden only to our values and to the people across this land who dare to dream, hope, and to believe in a better tomorrow, a better world, and a better America. 50 states, 50 capitals have now turned into one movement. The 50-51 movement is the American people. It's you, the person standing next to you, your friend, your loved one, and the people you are fighting for. We will most importantly continue to fight for our Constitution, fight to end executive overreach, and we the people will veto Project 2025. What started as a single post on Reddit by a user has now grown into a full-blown movement. From the smallest whispers of dissent to the loudest roars of defiance, 50-51 is powered by the hope, the work, and the dedication of every state, every city, and every voice. We are a movement and a force, fueled by the unshakable belief that we deserve more. And as we stand here today in the belly of the beast, I want to remind you, this administration isn't just attacking our rights. It's unraveling the very foundation of our freedom. They seek to rip apart our Constitution, bully other nations, destroy our livelihoods, and turn neighbors against neighbors. But most of all, they seek to unravel you. They want to steal your dreams, extinguish your hope, and erode your faith. Their goal was never simply to capture the White House or subvert our Constitution. It was to break us, to leave us hopeless, exhausted, and fractured. But I'm here to tell you, we will be damned if they succeed. Because we will not be broken. They will not destroy our faith because it was never theirs to destroy. We will not tolerate the eradication of our First Amendment rights. Our voices will not be silenced. We will peacefully dissent, as is our right, and we will not allow anyone to strip us of the freedoms that we hold dear. They will not strip away our hopes, for hope courses through the very veins of this nation. It is embedded in every pivotal moment of our history. Hope built this country. Hope transformed this country. And hope will carry us forward. They will not destroy our dreams because my ancestors lived and died for the dream of freedom in this nation. And I'll say this with my last breath. Their sacrifices will never be in vain. Their dreams, our dreams, live on in each of us. And we stand here today across the country, shoulder to shoulder, in a critical mass to fight against every attempt to shatter what has been built. Understand this. This is not a sprint, and it never has been. It is a marathon. Long before any of us were born, long before the movement, before they thought that they could seize control, this battle was set in motion. It was set in motion by the brave people who have long fought and died for a better America. It is now our turn to carry that torch, and we will do that with honor. And we are armed with the lessons of their struggles, the victories they won, and the unwavering belief that America can always become better. The fight for freedom, equality, and justice has never been easy, but it has always been worth it. And in that spirit, we rise together with all of these amazing organizations as not just a movement, but a coalition under one simple truth. This is our civil rights moment. This is our call to action. It is our power. It is our voice. It is the essence of who we are and who we've always been, a people who will be damned if we are silenced. They will never break us. They will never steal our future. We are the movement, and with hope and faith, we are unstoppable. We must and we will save ourselves. Because reality check, no one is coming to save us. We, the people, will never stop fighting for the country we deserve. You are, I am, we are all 50-51. Before I go, I do this at a lot of different protests, and I did this when we lost Amendment 4 in Florida, which was the abortion rights ballot initiative. I want you to turn to the person next to you, and I want you to say, you are loved. You are resilient. And you are important. We have a long road ahead of us. So remember, joy is resistance. Hope is resistance. Self-care is resistance. We are the resistance. And I have one message to the administration. They say America first. I say balls in your court, because America is right here and we're knocking at your door. Thank you.
Awesome sauce. Gosh, she was good. I like that. That was amazing. That was amazing.
Gabapentin is bringing you closer to amputation. These are 3 symptoms that are signaling that you could be close.
Okay, so look at downtown Chicago. Amazing. Look at that. Look at all them people, huh? Oh, Democrats, you're not alone. Look at that. There's millions of people that feel the same way you feel. Y'all gotta get them seats in the primary. It's not gonna make a difference if y'all can't win any seats. I mean, I hate to sound cold, but y'all gonna have to sacrifice someone. I'm not saying it's gonna be forever, but I think you're gonna have to sacrifice some of your views until y'all get the primary seats. The way you're going now and the fights that you're doing, the Republicans are keeping y'all on the defensive. I think y'all fighting the wrong battles right now. Until you can get them seats and get back and win the House, there's no way you're going to win these battles. Then you're not going to win the war. I'm sorry, but it's true. Yeah, this is a helicopter view. That is amazing. Amazing. like, okay, I'll get tired. It is 12:57 a.m. It was 82 degrees earlier today. I think it's down to 65. I still got this fan running. I need to turn this fan off with all this price of electricity. But look at that. That is amazing. Look at that. It's covering the whole street. The whole avenue. You know, this that again? Chopper video above, hands off rally shown. Demonstrators taking the streets of downtown Chicago. Yeah, buddy. And then do your part. Like we all got our parts to play, but some people you gotta, some people everybody's trying to be, like I say, the chef. But you got to have some of the supporters, got to play your role. Magnificent. Phew. Okay. All right, I'm out of here. All right, I'll catch up with you next time. Thank you for coming through. I appreciate you.